All right. Good evening. This is the March 23rd meeting of the Groton Planning and Zoning Commission. Staff tonight includes Bruce Lofgren, Diane Glemboski, and me, Deb Jones. Attendees wishing to address the commission will have to raise their virtual hand on an Apple device. You can find that at the top of your screen. On a PC, it's at the bottom. If you're on the phone, it is *9.
All right, so I'll call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. First item is roll call. I see everybody's, we got, everybody is here, so we have all our regular members and have a quorum. First item, business item is public hearings. We have spec number 372 Factory Square micro apartment. Will the secretary read the notice for the public hearing? Al?
I would love to. Do I have that?
It was part of your agenda package.
Okay, then let me zoom down. It wasn't part of the revised time.
No,
I'm sorry.
no, it's part of the original one.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
It should be one of the first pages in there.
Yeah. It's a big package.
Page 4.
Yes.
It is page.
I've already scrolled down, so that's why I have my problem. Okay, here we go.
Who's got the rate? Somebody's picking up there.
Hold on. Wait, that might be.
Hal, you're on mute.
Now I'm unmuted. All right, no, but notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held on March 23rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. virtually via Zoom platform to hear the following. Special permit number 372 for 12 Water Street, pin 261918305500, MDD zone, to convert one vacant unit from commercial use to residential use. Review is per section 5.1 Tech 8H of the zoning regulations, Factory Square LLC applicant and owner. A Zoom meeting link will be posted to the town's website, meeting calendar, or can be attended by visiting www.zoom.us, webinar ID 826-8166-86783, password 430132, or by phone 1-301-715-8592. Applications are on file and available for public inspection during normal business hours at the Planning Department, 134 Groton Long Point Road, dated this 12th day of March 2021 at Groton, Connecticut.
All right. So our process for the public hearing will have the applicant make his presentation, followed by staff presentation, and open it to the public for any comments they have, and then to the commission for any questions or discussion, and repeat the cycle until all the questions are answered and we can close the public hearing. So we have the applicant proceed with this presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Todd Brady. I am an owner of Factory Square located at 12 Water Street. Our architect, Mark Camo, is also present and available to comment. This is an application for a special permit to convert 300 plus square feet of existing commercial space into one residential apartment. A small space which we refer to in our application as a micro apartment. A special permit is required because of the proposed change from commercial to residential use. The space has been vacant for 7 to 8 years, if not longer. I've kind of lost track. I think it bears emphasis. We're eager to pursue this conversion in part because we feel there is a place for small apartments which offer an opportunity to create thoughtfully designed housing in a small amount of space. The proposed apartment incorporates about 49.5 square feet from the existing entry foyer of the Margarita's restaurant, and the exterior modifications are minimal and primarily involve replacement of an existing asphalt shingle mansard roof with a black metal roof, and it's the installation of a new door to the apartment. Other than that, it's not going to be apparent exactly what has been done. The modifications were approved at the most recent meeting of the Historic District Commission. The proposed change of use meets the MDD design and building standards, and in fact has little effect on the existing appearance of the property and building. I don't think most observers would even know that a new apartment had been created. And as regards virtually all of the standards and requirements for a special permit, this conversion changes nothing about the current status or appearance, circulation patterns, the neighborhood, or overall use of Factory Square, other than to replace a modest amount of commercial space with an apartment. The applicant has proposed installation of a new park bench in the existing courtyard in close proximity to the apartment entrance to address the requirement to provide additional recreation and community space. The residential density conforms to the requirements of the MDD and provides the required parking on site. When the long-standing lease of 110 spaces from the Mystic Museum of Art is included in Factory Square's parking calculation, the property has 53 more spaces than required by zoning. And I'm not sure what else I have to say. It's really not that much going on here, except for the change of use. Thank you.
All right. Staff want to make their presentation now?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Bruce Lofgren from the Office of Planning and Development Services. As Mr. Brady mentioned, this is a conversion of a vacant unit that was previously used as commercial use several years ago. It's very small, under 400 square feet. The proposal is to convert it into a studio apartment. Application, and I should also mention that we did receive proof of mailings, and the mailings are in order for the public hearing. So just because of the multi-unit conversion, a special permit is required. We'll also be reviewing a subsequent site plan application later in the evening, but this is for the special permit, and really what we're looking for is that this complies with the MDD and it does not create any additional intensity. It meets the parking requirements, and it's, you know, in conformity with the neighborhood and existing uses on site. The MDD is a mixed-use district. Factory Square is a really good example of a mixed use that really has a long-standing presence in downtown. It's a good mix of residential uses, restaurants, offices, a brewery, and in my opinion, the conversion from what could be a commercial unit into a studio apartment would actually be an increase in the intensity use and less parking requirements. And also, as Mr. Brady mentioned, there are 34 spaces on site. Currently, there are 42 units, residential units in Factory Square. This would be number 43. If you calculate the parking out and you do the 50% reduction for the MDD, the required parking for that is 23 spots. There's 34 spots on site. So they have more than enough parking to meet the residential requirement. And as Mr. Brady mentioned, they also have 111 spaces that are leased within the Mystic Museum of Art's parking lot across the street. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. But yeah, that's basically it. It's just a small conversion of one unit that's been long vacant.
All right. So I'll open it up to any comments from the public. Or is there anybody in the public that wishes to address the commission on this request for change of use? You see anybody, Deb?
I do not see any hands raised for this item.
Okay. And we'll open it up to commissioners for their questions or comments. We'll start with you, Mike.
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman. I think that given that there's already apartment units in this facility, the few questions that I wrote down are answered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Hal, do you have any questions, comments?
I have no problem with this. I have no questions.
Okay. Barbara?
No, just fascinated as to how long a list of applicants there'll be for this tiny apartment.
Well, we are currently at 100% occupancy, so I suspect there'll be a list.
Okay. Sue? Sue, do you have any comments
Sorry about that. It was on mute. Yes, no comments. Thank you.
or questions? Steve?
For questions.
I have no comments or questions.
Kevin?
I'm sure. I just have a question for Bruce. So you said there's a special permit later. Why were those two? Why are they two separate?
Site plan.
Yeah, so Kevin, this is the special permit review. We have a site plan application later. And it's just the way we always organize our agendas. We always have to do public hearings first because it's advertised and it needs to start at 7. And it's just the way we kind of separate them out. So we do one after another.
Great. Thank you, Bruce. And Jeff, I have no other questions.
Okay. I just had a couple of questions. I assume that this is the only unit on the first floor of the development.
No, there are,
Is it high enough above the floodplain?
well, Factory Square is wholly out of the floodplain.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yes,
Wasn't sure. 'Cause
there
it's-
are, I'm sorry.
No, the topography is sort of uneven in that area.
The Water Street kind of rises up as you approach
Right.
Factory Square from the
Right.
south, so.
Mhm. Goes up and down.
Yeah.
Do you intend to rent this as a long-term rental or short-term rental?
We really haven't made a decision about that. We have, most of our rentals are 1-year minimum.
Mhm.
But we do have some furnished units, which we will rent for shorter terms, typically offered it as a 2-month minimum.
Yeah.
To date, we haven't, for example, done any Airbnb type renting in large measure because it's so management intensive. I mean, it takes a lot of care and feeding. But that option is there, I guess, if we wanted to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I was just doing it out of curiosity,
Yeah.
asking it for that. So does anyone else have any questions or concerns with this? I guess we still have no input from the public, so.
That's correct.
I have one question for staff on the proposed motion. It refers to a micro apartment. There is no such definition I could find in the zoning regulations. So is it appropriate to use that term in the heading of this item? Or should we just call it either a small apartment or just apartment?
Yeah, so here's, I believe everyone can see the draft motion here. So the first sentence, that's the title of what we're calling the special permit. We're calling it the Factory Square micro apartment. So, I mean, that was just, the name on the application. It's pretty standard that we just.
Yeah, but
refer
the
to that in the
application
motion.
is for an use as an apartment. I mean, it's not defined in the zoning regulation. Micro apartment is not defined anywhere that I could find.
It's a residential unit.
Right. So it's really just an apartment.
That's right. It's a residential unit without regard to the size.
So I would think it would, unless we want to define it in here, just take the word micro out and just say it's an apartment.
Isn't micro apartment just the name of what he's calling it? Doesn't matter. Factory Square.
Yeah, but it's a
Micro
special
apartment
it's a special permit, should be identified in the zoning regulation. It's what we're approving.
Well, then it would be to approve site to,
It's approving the use as an apartment.
as an apartment for
Yeah.
the project Factory Square micro apartment.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we should probably discuss a motion after the hearing is closed.
Oh, yes. Mhm. Yep, you're right. So I'll make a motion to close, if there are no other comments, to close the public hearing for special permit 372 Factory Square
Second.
apartment. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is it second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
I,
I,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. And we'll go on to approve the special permit. I'll make a motion to approve special permit number 372 Factory Square Apartment 12 Water Street to convert one vacant unit from commercial use to residential use, subject to the following modifications. One, technical items as raised by staff shall be addressed. Findings and reasons for approval. The commission finds that this application complies with the objectives of section 3.3-2.b of the zoning regulations in that it will enhance the unique qualities of Mystic and is in keeping with the goals of the plan of conservation and development. The commission also finds that this application complies with the special permit criteria in section 9.4-6 of the zoning regulations in that it does not alter the essential characteristics of the Mystic area, does not cause traffic congestion or safety conflicts, and does not conflict with the purposes of these regulations. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, then we'll vote on the motion to approve special permit number 372. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. Okay. We'll move on to consideration. Oops, we already did that. Next item is approval of previous meetings. You have our minutes of March 9th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 9th, 2021. Is there a second?
second,
Moved in second. Does anyone have any corrections?
I did, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mike.
I would just like to, on page, I guess it's 23, page 4 of the with the public comments. Scott Westervelt, 7 Boulder Drive. When I listened to the tape, he did not say that he approved of the development. He said he was not opposed to the development. So there's a distinction. And Mike Whitney, 2 Deerfield Road, is RTM member of the 5th District. That should be noted, I believe.
Okay.
Did he say that?
What's that?
Did he say he was a member?
That I don't know, Barbara. I wasn't listening. I listened to it, but maybe if staff could just check that one. I know he has said it in the past.
Right, but if he didn't say it, then you can't put it in.
Okay,
Check.
thank you, Barbara.
Does anybody else have anything? I had a couple of minor issues on page 1 or on 20 on the handout. On the last paragraph in there where it talks about consideration of the public hearings, I think it gets a little confusing toward the middle where it talks about Michael Kane did not wish to accept a fee in lieu of, and then it starts going into a sidewalk and then goes back to talking about the fee in lieu of. And I think it would make more sense to take the sentence that starts, however, consensus was established that a fee in lieu of, and insert the words of open space, put that in after Mike's statement, and then take the sentence that begins commission members did not support, get rid of other, and move that after the open space statement. So it would flow a little more logically, assuming that this may have judges looking at our minutes. And let's see. Under public communications, I think the ones, Roseanne's, Kotowski, and Mike Whitney's were talking about speaking against or for the Mystic Education Center. It really is not the center, it's the development. We should insert development at the end of those two sentences. That's on page 4. And under site plans on page 4, on the first whole paragraph, it starts with Rick Norris. The commas are in, I think, the wrong place. It should say Public Works. Delete that comment, should go after Town of Groton. And under, and the end of that sentence where it talks, has Ann Samuelson, should have a comma, Slam Collaborative, and then followed another comma to indicate that those titles or go with the individuals. And also there's a sign in the second sentence in that paragraph, as Mystic School sign, there's a period that should go away, or it looks like it on mine, maybe it's my printer. And under the motion for that item, there's a square in front of 1 in the second line. That should go away, and the 1 should be pushed, moved down to a separate line and indented, which is a normal practice. And for the motion for adjournment, you should use those boxes that report the motion and the voting for all the other motions. Does anyone else have any other comments? Hearing none, then we'll vote on approval of the minutes of March 9th meeting minutes as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. And let's see. So our next item on the agenda is public communications. Is there anyone on the public that wishes to address the commission tonight? Do you see anyone, Deb?
Yes, I do. A couple of folks.
You want to call them? And
I will. I also want to note that you've received a number of communications over the past 2 weeks that we've forwarded on to you as we've received them, mostly about the Mystic Education Center redevelopment. All right, Roseanne Kotowski.
Good evening. Roseanne Kotowski, 24 Ann Avenue, RTM District 5. I do not support the Westward proposal for the Mystic Oral School property, as I have brought to your attention many times. Tonight, I would like to ask the question: what would you like to see at the Mystic Oral School property? Not one person in Groton has ever been asked that question, ever. This commission, the approving authority, was never asked the question. Not one Groton resident, volunteer, or elected official was ever asked that question. No Groton resident ever said, I would like to see a 931 unit, 8-story parking garage, 50-room hotel, and bus terminal on the Mystic Oral School property. I don't consider putting colored stickers on easels the same thing as asking the question. I cannot figure out how this project got to the point that the town council is publicly supporting 931 units, an 8-story parking garage, a 50-room hotel, and a bus terminal on the Mystic Oral School property that has no application to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I cannot figure this out at all. The town council claims that they are supporting this project under the guise of economic development and increased tax revenue, even though there is no documentation for increased tax revenue promises. In fact, the potential TIF deal may actually create a situation that the developer pays little or no taxes for many years. Unfortunately, it seems that the town council has made the decision to sacrifice the northeast section of town with a mega development that is too dense, unrealistic, and totally out of character for the neighborhood. There are many, many concerns and questions regarding this project that I and others have repeatedly shared with the Planning and Zoning Commission. But if I had the opportunity to answer the question, what would I like to see on the Mystic Oral School property? My first response would be a proposal or project that is in character with the neighborhood, with the main focus on low density. Also, for the record, I am not anti-development and could support the rejected Groton Housing Authority proposal for 192 units. There are 9 town councilors and 3 town staff aggressively driving the 931 unit project, present company excluded. That's 12 people who have never asked one Groton resident or Mystic Oral School neighbor the question, what would you like to see on the Mystic Oral School property? The only bright spot in this unfortunate situation is the hope that the Planning and Zoning Commission will actually ask and answer the question, what would the Planning and Zoning Commission like to see on the Mystic Oral School property? Hopefully, the Planning and Zoning Commission will answer the question, and the question will be that the Planning and Zoning Commission would like to see use of the Mystic Oral School property that is appropriate, realistic, with reasonable density, and is good for the community and town. Then move forward with writing regulations that support what the Planning and Zoning Commission would like to see on the Mystic Oral School property. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, next, Catherine Pratt. Whoops, I'm sorry, Becca Welt, excuse me.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me the chance to speak. I appreciate the opportunity to participate, and I especially thank you for the opportunity to listen and learn about the intricacies of the work that all of you do that make our town such a good place to live. My comment tonight is more of a question, and I will also submit it in writing in case answering tonight is not possible. I'm concerned about the green incentives offered to developers. When you write zoning regulations for the oral school, and maybe this goes for all proposals, it's my understanding that if the developers meet specific green incentives, they can then override the zoning regulations. For example, if they meet one specific incentive, they can add, say, another story to a building. Is this accurate? And if so, does it mean that a 60-foot building could be a 90-foot building instead if a developer meets specific incentives? Or am I completely misunderstanding how these work? I appreciate any clarity you can provide. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's see.
Anyone else, Deb? Or?
Just Mr. Welt.
Good evening. Robert Welt, 18 Boulder Court, Mystic. I've lived in Groton almost all my life, except when Uncle Sam saw fit to have me live elsewhere. And during that time, I've served a number of volunteer positions ranging from assistant scoutmaster to library board member and church vestryman. In all of these, I only occasionally heard thank you. Excuse me, the Board of Ed did give me a nice paperweight once for serving as a teacher mentor. What I would like to do tonight is to express my sincere thanks to all the members of the commission for the time and effort you put in, and especially for the thoughtfulness you're giving to the oral school proposal and the impact it's going to have on my neighborhood and the town as a whole. Good night.
Right, thank you. Let's see, Railey Ann Westervelt.
I apologize. For some reason, my daughter's still logged into my computer, so it's actually Scott Westervelt at 7 Boulder Court here in Mystic, Connecticut. I'm calling because I've got, I guess, I want to ask this question yet again because I want to make sure that I stay current. Has anything been submitted to planning and zoning from Restler for this development up the hill? I've noticed there's been a lot of state trucks up there. There's been a lot of movement of people around the property taking pictures and stuff like that, but I still haven't heard if anything has been presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission at this point. I also want to just throw it out there that one of the main reasons I see the town council supporting this, and this in general leads back to planning and zoning, I see that the town they're very much in favor of this because they say this is going to become the 3rd largest taxpayer in the town. But at what point is this going to become the 3rd largest taxpayer in the town? Is it at phase 1 when they build 250 to 300 units? Is it after phase 1 when they redo the oral school and the Pratt building? And then they build that road going out the Fergaleski property? And if they never make it to that, they're never going to make the 3rd largest taxpayer in the town as an actual entity. So I'm concerned by that, and I'm concerned where Restler has gone. If they haven't made any submissions to the Planning and Zoning Committee, I'd like to know where that stands as far as them being in default of their developers agreement, which I understand goes to the town council, but I'm just wondering where the Planning and Zoning Committee or Commission sits with their submissions at this point. That's my question for tonight. Thank you.
Well, the applicant can't make an application until the zoning regulation change is placed in effect. So
Have any
quite a
requests
ways.
been made for the zoning regulation change? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, the zoning regulations have to be changed to allow this development to proceed, and they have to be placed in effect, issued, going through that process first before an application can be submitted. So we're quite a ways away from that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just to clarify, there are no applications at all before this commission regarding the Mystic Ed Center zoning or otherwise.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all that you are doing for the town. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, John Waller. Oh, nope, sorry, Ken and Janet Mayer. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Janet Mayer, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm at 88 Ann Avenue, Connecticut. When I first heard of this proposal, which came on pretty suddenly for Mystic River Bluffs development, I was really shocked by the scope and size of the development that they're proposing. In order to wrap my head around it, I did a rough calculation using the 2019 population of Mystic and the conservative estimate of using just 2 occupants per apartment unit, and determined that this one development would increase the population of Mystic by 43%. Again, this is my own rough calculation, but a 43% increase. In a comment, a town council member compared the Mystic River Bluffs project to the Ledges project off of Drosdick. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Drosdick Drive, saying the bluff unit acre ratio is similar to the Ledges. But as you know, and we're so thankful to have you, the development planning is not just about the acreage, but also about the surrounding area and the infrastructure, the water, the sewer, etc. This proposed complex would be off of Cow Hill Road. And as the name suggests, Cow Hill is a narrow, hilly, up and down country road that is already busy and is surrounded by existing large residential neighborhoods such as Fieldcrest. There have been numerous accidents toward the bottom of Cow Hill, and I won't take a left out of my own neighborhood because of the Cow Hill so dangerous. The area gets Mystic traffic. It's a cut through for people to 184, and it gets residential traffic. This is quite different than the surrounding area to the Ledges, and I just wanted to point that out. The proposal also includes several businesses and recreational facilities, drawing more traffic and load on the infrastructure. When I read about the project on the Respler site, what struck me was the language like will be considered, as currently conceived, will be determining, we anticipate, and I know that this is just a proposal, but this kind of language scares me a bit. Also, Respler speaks of tax increment financing, TIF. For what I've read, TIF often fails if there is not transparency, rigorous analysis, and proper oversight. It can be very costly and drain money from the schools. So far, I just haven't seen the transparency, and I'm very concerned with who would be doing the oversight. Will this affect our water and sewer? Can we count on Respler to hire fair and thorough consultants to do the studies? And many of us are just learning of this project. I was just talking to my neighbors tonight, several neighbors, and when they just found out about this project. And I know maybe some of us should be looking at the town site more often and going to every meeting, but realistically, we're all working. And my neighbors were shocked as well at the size and scope of this. And none of us are anti-development. Like we said, we've heard some other possible proposal that, that might, there's things that would work there. It's just the size, the scope, and really too, how fast this is moving. The push for it scares me. And again, I thank you so much for your time and listening. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Right, now, John Waller.
Yes, hello, everybody. John Waller, 116 Godfrey Road. I've come before you and the council before, and I have been an advocate of the project. I am also a neighbor, but not as close as everybody else who's spoken this evening. And my primary reason for supporting the project is the economic development that has the possibility for the town, as well as the Pratt building and the auditorium becoming a performing arts center. When I raised my hand, I had a question. Two questioners before me got that question answered, and it was about the timeline for your decision. And Ms. Jones mentioned that there's actually nothing in front of you at this point about this project. So I guess my question is, in all of these meetings and of all the public comments, I'm just wondering what it is that you're gathering here, and how is this going to be used to inform your decisions? That's the sort of the question that I have. If you'll notice, it obviously the people who live closest to the development, they're not anti-development, but they certainly aren't in favor of the at least the majority who have spoken up are not in favor of the size of the project. So I'm just curious as to the commission as a whole during this sort of listening tour, what it is that you're hoping to get the guidance to make your decisions, because I think that I come into this without having a good knowledge of the laws and regulations that you need to apply. So that's the type of thing that I'm trying to understand, what it is that informs your decision about making that change. So again, as everybody else, we thank you for your time and all the energy that you're giving and the consideration. And really my question is what are the decisions that you anticipate coming with an application that has not been filed yet, but is sort of like the thing that's standing in the way of this project moving forward? At some point, the wrestler is going to ask for this change to be made. So again, I thank you for your time, and I'd appreciate some sort of guidance as to what it is that is going to be driving your decision. So thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Let's see, Catherine Pratt.
Am I unmuted?
You are.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Pratt. I live at 75 Front Street in Noank. Chairman Pritchard and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I strongly oppose the proposal by Restful Homes to redevelop the Mystic Oral School property. Rezoning valuable rural land to enable massive economic development would be drastically short-sighted and throw into question the stability of other similarly zoned districts. In 1926, when zoning was a relatively new concept, the United States Supreme Court, in the case Village of Euclid versus Ambler Realty, affirmed the power of local authorities to adopt zoning ordinances in the general public interest of maintaining and promoting community character. Here's an excerpt from that decision. Quote, "The question whether the power exists to forbid the erection of a building of a particular kind or for a particular use, like the question whether a particular thing is a nuisance, is to be determined by considering the building or thing not abstractly, but in connection with the circumstances and the locality. A nuisance may be merely a right thing in the wrong place, like a pig in the parlor instead of the barnyard." Unquote. With reference to apartment buildings, the court continued, quote, "Very often, the apartment house is a mere parasite, constructed in order to take advantage of the open spaces and attractive surroundings created by the residential character of the district. Moreover, the coming of one apartment house is followed by others, bringing increased traffic and business until, finally, the residential character of the neighborhood and its desirability are utterly destroyed. Under these circumstances, apartment houses, which in a different environment would be highly desirable, come very near to being nuisances," unquote. Nearly a century later, the same principles that guided the Supreme Court in Euclid versus Ambler remain valid. The purpose of zoning is and should be to protect community and neighborhood character and nurture their presence. In contrast, the Restler plan for 931 apartments plus commercial businesses, if approved, would transform a peaceful, wooded, single-family neighborhood into an urbanized hub, home to a staggering 2,000 more residents and 1,500 more cars. This project can only be achieved by means of spot zoning to allow uses that are at odds with and entirely incompatible with the current residential zoning restrictions of the area. Under the heading Outdoor Amenities, the developer's website touts direct access from the housing complex to the state-designated Scenic River Road and the recreational opportunities afforded by the Mystic River. The adverse environmental impact on these beautiful and unique resources under the crush of a vast population influx will be inevitable. We may reasonably expect traffic, congestion, litter, and plastic debris infiltrating aquatic ecosystems. Paradoxically, the very same attractions being used to advertise the Restler project will be in peril if the proposed spot zone is approved. Could the Planning and Zoning Commission please add the impact on River Road and the Mystic River to its ongoing list of offsite concerns? It is unfortunate that the Planning and Zoning Commission was not given the opportunity to evaluate the proposals submitted by other builders. But I urge you to use your influence now. There is no price on quiet rural neighborhoods, uncrowded spaces, scenic beauty, and our irreplaceable natural resources. The Restler plan needs serious review and change. Thank you for your consideration of this matter.
Thank you. I do not see any other hands.
Yeah, I forgot to ask the other commissioners if they have any communications they've received that we should be aware of. I did receive an item from Dick Fitzgerald over his public access signs as an update. I guess he's been getting the council more involved in that, just for information. All right. And moving on, next item is special permits. We have spec 183 Giordano excavation extension request. Is the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Giordano is here. In your packet, I think you will see a lengthy history of this excavation special permit. Originally issued in 1994, and there were a number of setbacks with regards to truck transportation in and out of the site, and then it has slowly been progressing. So as I said, Mr. Giordano is here. You can ask questions, and I am just going to share my screen so you can see the area of the excavation. Here we go. So this outlined in red is Mr. Giordano's property, and this, the area where my cursor is the pond. I believe he has asked for an additional 4 years to complete the excavation.
So I'll open it up to commissioners if they have any concerns with approving the extension request. Does anyone have any concerns with this issue?
I don't have any at this point, Mr. Chairman.
None.
So none, Jeff. Did the applicant want to address the commission?
If he wants to, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess not. He's still
Okay.
muted.
Devlin?
Okay, I'm here.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
did
How you doing,
like
everybody?
to make a
Yeah.
statement to us? Or?
The project's at 90%. I'll finish this project in the next 4 years, and that'll be it.
Okay.
I work on this in my spare time. So another 4 years and I'll be finished.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Devlin, that one of the write-ups that you had in there had something about an environmental bond.
That's right.
Is that still in effect?
It is.
Hmm?
Yes, it is.
So all we're doing is just extending it for 4 years.
That's right.
So if no one else has any comments, then I'll make a motion to grant a 4-year extension for special permit number 183 to March 2nd, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, then we'll vote on the motion to extend special permit 183. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to site plans. We have the site plan SIT 20-03 Factory Square, micro apartments, 12 Water Street. Does the applicant wish to make any, to address the commission on this application in addition to what was already presented?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just defer to Bruce Lofgren if he wishes to make any additional comments. Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Bruce?
Sure. No, I don't really have too much to add. Just this is just a required site plan approval that goes along with the special permit that you were.
I'll open it up to commissioners if they have any questions or concerns with this item. Michael Kane, do you have any?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Al?
No questions or concerns.
Okay. Barbara?
Nothing.
Nothing. Sue?
No questions or concerns. Thank you.
Steve?
Nothing.
Kevin?
No questions or concerns, Mr. Chair.
It's small items, small questions. They had on the plan view of this application, there's some steps that go up on the outside. Where do those fall in relation to the door to get into this unit, proposed apartment? Because when you go into Margaritas, you have to go up some steps. That are between where the chocolate factory is and
I think
Todd, do you want to answer that
I
about
think the elevation
steps?
view does better. Rather than the
Yeah.
plan view, give the elevation view. There it is. Yep. That's the steps to the right.
no, there's steps along 90 degrees to there. That's the steps that you go up once you get into the building. Before you get into the building, Margarita's 2 or 3 steps up higher than the chocolate factory is on the walkway that goes to the west. If
You're
look at-
referring to this area right here?
It's somewhere after where the blue areas of the apartment. There's some steps in there that you have to walk up about 3 steps to get to the level to get into Margaritaville.
Isn't it alongside of the ramp? That's why the ramp is there.
I don't know. I was just wanted to know where they were. They don't interfere with the proposed door.
No, they don't.
No,
Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry. This is Todd Brady. I was muted. If you look at the drawing you're looking at right now, look to your left below the large, up, other way, right there. See the refurbished window right there? The steps
Yeah.
are right to the left of that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so
They're-
it's right after you get up the steps. That's the door, entry door. Then
The entry door is quite some distance from from where the steps end.
yeah, okay. Because they didn't show on the plan view, and that's what I was curious about.
That's correct.
And the plan view on the next sheet, right in front of where the television, it says storage. What does that mean? See where the TV set is?
Yeah, good,
Okay.
good question. Good question.
It says storage. Is that the basement? Or
No,
the attic?
there's no basement, and I'm not sure why it says storage. Maybe it was.
Is that just a type? Is that just a typo?
Yes, it is.
I didn't know if there was something that was missing in that or not.
No, good catch.
Okay. I didn't have any concerns with the application. And I assume that this unit is, everything in here air conditioned or?
Yes, it is. The property has a cooling tower, water source heat pump system, so all of the units have heat and air conditioning.
Well, I was just wondering about windows that had to open or not.
Yeah, well, and all of the windows on the left-hand side there are double hung windows that all open.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't sure whether they were all sealed up or not.
No, then we're replacing with like windows as per an earlier approval from the Historic District Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I have one little item, I think.
Yes.
Just based on what's not shown and you actually called attention to it was the stairs that actually almost butt up against the window. Wasn't there a handrail already there? Is the window changing the way the handrail is? It's just not shown right now.
There's no change over there.
Okay. Where is the handrail there? I just can't remember where it is. The stair, and it's part of the exit path. It must have a handrail there. I'm sure I've used it. I just can't picture where it is.
Well, I believe there's arguably a handrail when you're coming up. The ramp goes up alongside this there, and there's a rail there. I believe it's only 2 risers up, and I actually can't tell you there is or isn't a handrail. I don't think there is, but the code doesn't require a handrail till you get up 3 risers.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I was down there this afternoon. I didn't think I saw a handrail along the building there. If that's what you're talking about, Hal. Maybe because there are only 2 steps. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? If not, then I'll make a motion to approve site plan 21-03 for Factory Square Micro Apartment, 12 Water Street with the following modification. 1, technical items as raised by staff shall be addressed. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, then we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. Next site plan is SIT 21-04, earth, turf, and snow 100 Shoeville Road. The applicant would wish to address the commission.
Looks like the applicants are here. I'm going to promote them and share my screen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
I'm Bill DeCourcy. I know it says Lucretia on there. I'm the owner of Earth, Turf, and Snow, and I'm seeking to get our site plan approved for the storage of our contractor's equipment for my landscaping business at 100 Shoeville Road. It was the past owners ran Shipman Painting that was located there for the past 20 years. And we're essentially using it in a very similar fashion. The big barn on the site plan, if you're looking to the left or the upper side of the site plan, would be where we're planning to store our equipment. And if you're looking on the site plan as well, we're planning on storing bulk mulch there in the lower shed. Other than that, there's really no structural changes that we're proposing with this plan. It's really just using the buildings on the property.
Does staff have any presentation to the commission?
Sure. Yeah, I can expand on what Bill was just saying. This is Bruce from Office of Planning and Development Service again. Yep. So what you have here, this is the corner of Route 184 and Shoeville Road. This proposal is going to be for a residential use with an accessory use of being contractor storage. So the applicant does intend to live here, and they own a landscaping company, and they would like to store their vehicles and their equipment within one of the barns and the shed right here. This is an allowed use in all residential zoning districts. This zoning district is an R80, so it's the most rural, the most low dense residential district there is. As Bill mentioned, I understand there's been a history of some similar type of uses here over the years with the current owner. And they are proposing to store everything inside. This property is located in the WRPD overlay district. And just the concern is that, anything outdoors would not be allowed. So they are proposing to do everything indoors. There's a sidewalk along Shoeville Road existing. It's an asphalt sidewalk. There is no sidewalk currently along Route 184. You could go in either direction on both sides of the road on 184. You won't see a sidewalk for at least a mile until you hit Pumpkin Hill Road to the west. But it's not unusual that there isn't a sidewalk there, but zoning regulations do allow you to require a sidewalk. The applicant is requesting elimination. There's also the option for postponement of the sidewalk if the PCC would like to take that route as well. You can notice here, actually, I have the application here too that kind of shows some pictures I think would be helpful. Just a minute. So here's an aerial picture of the site, 184 Shoeville Road. You can't really see the sidewalk there, but this is Route 184 looking at Shoeville. Here's another aerial image of the site. The storage material, the storage of equipment would be located in this barn right here. Mulch would be stored in this shed, is what it's called on the site plan right here. This is 184. You can see there's a wide shoulder here. There is a pretty steep incline up from 184, which would make construction of a sidewalk relatively difficult because of that steep incline. So that's why the applicant submitted this exhibit, just to let you know. And it is worth noting that this is a state road, so any sidewalk would require state approval as well. Other than that, hazardous materials are limited. The applicant did address hazardous materials in the WRPD. Like I mentioned before, everything is going to be stored inside. There's not going to be any herbicides or pesticides stored on this property. Apparently you need a license to be able to apply herbicides and pesticides, and their company does not have that, and they do not use those products. The hazardous materials they listed, just general landscaping materials, and no more than a normal household would hold is what the statement says. Just some oil, some gas, and all that would be stored in their original containers. There would not be any retail sale of anything on this site. So this would fall under non-incidental hazardous materials under the WRPD. Also worth noting is there's no changes to the footprint. There's no impervious coverage increases. There's no clearing on the site. It's really just kind of one use into another use. There's really pretty minimal site improvements proposed. Other than, there is no parking, no additional parking. I mean, no additional signage is proposed, no additional lighting is proposed. They are providing some parking here. This is already gravel area for their employees. They do have a few employees that would be coming during the day. And other than that, I don't think I have anything else to add this time. I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, so I'll open it up to commissioners if they have any questions. I'll start with you, Mike.
No, I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
You don't? It's in the WRPD and you don't? Wow.
Well, doesn't seem like it's much of a change.
All right, Hal,
Oh, I don't have any questions or comments. And with regard to the parking, all the aerial shots that I've seen already had cars scattered across it, and you pretty much can't see them from the road anyway. So I think it's perfectly in keeping with what needs to happen there.
okay. Barbara,
Yeah, can you tell me again what's happening with the residents?
Yeah, the residents gonna be, that's where we're planning on living. So the residents will stay the same as it has been. There's no changes on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sue,
Then, thanks. No questions or comments.
everybody's quiet tonight. Steve, do you have any?
Just regarding hazardous material, you don't have pesticides?
We don't, no.
Okay. No pesticides, no Roundup, no.
Yeah, no, the only thing we would have is gas for the mowers and trimmers, but that would just be in a 5-gallon container.
Okay.
Kevin, do
That's
you
all.
have any?
That's all.
Yeah, nothing, Kevin?
No, so my only point is, to me, again, it just looks like an existing use, and the applicant has done a good job placing what exactly he's going to do, and I presume there's no public opposition to it and any letters or anything along those lines, which I haven't seen, so I presume there's none. And also agree with the sidewalk, having biked that, and I've never walked that sidewalk inside that Route 184 in my life, so my belief is very dissimilar to some of our more dense neighborhoods where we believe that we do need a sidewalk. This does not come close to that. So I agree with what the staff has put as far as that's concerned, Mr. Chair.
Just had, yeah, a couple of questions. What is the floor in the barn made out of? Is it impervious or is it dirt or wood?
Yeah, it was concrete.
It's concrete, okay.
Yeah.
And then on hazardous materials that are stored, the recommended motion talks about be kept to a minimum. I get it. Is it possible to come up with a finite amount, or because minimum to one person may be different than another? I'm not worried about how much, but just to keep any controversy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I mean, if you gave a list to the planning department, maybe how many and what quantities you want to maintain, just so we have something on record.
Yeah, yeah, we could definitely do that.
And then if somebody comes along and gets upset, you can show them it's okay. Could we do that as a technical item, Bruce?
Yeah, I can address that as a technical item. I'll request that they provide us an inventory, and we'll make
Or
sure.
a list and the quantities they want to have there. Like if it's a case of oil, it's fine, but
Sure.
but somebody might say a minimum well, or a homeowner is only going to have one can. Maybe that isn't realistic here.
Yes.
It ought to be something that they can live with.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thought you might bring that up, Mike.
Yeah, no, it didn't even, that's a good point, though.
And we're asking for a waiver on the sidewalk.
It's actually not a waiver. It's just
It's not
just one of
required.
the options. Yeah.
So we don't have to indicate that we're not requiring it.
No, it is one of the. It's just a statement on the bottom of the draft motion I provided you that just acknowledges that you are accepting the elimination request, but it's not a waiver.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any other comments? If not, then I'll make a motion to approve site plan SIT 21-04, earth, turf, and snow located at 100 Shoeville Road with the following modifications. 1, all contractor vehicle parking and construction equipment storage shall occur inside covered buildings in accordance with section 5.1-1.b of the zoning regulations. A note shall be added to the plan to this effect. 2, there shall be no storage of herbicides or pesticides on the property. All hazardous materials on site will be kept to a minimum and shall be stored indoors and in compliance with section 8.6-2 of the zoning regulations. A note shall be added to the plan to this effect. 3, maintenance and fueling of vehicles shall not take place on site. A note shall be added to the plan to this effect. 4, technical items as raised by staff shall be addressed. Findings. The Planning and Zoning Commission finds that the elimination of the frontage sidewalk along Route 184 meets the standards of section 8.3-5.c, elimination of the zoning regulations. The commission further finds that there will be no significant pedestrian movement to the site and/or between adjacent sites, and that topography or other physical limitations along Route 184 prohibit the reasonable installation of said sidewalk at this time. I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I would note is that you said, and back to what you had said before, the minimum amount. And I wonder if we would put in there something that within established limits or to that effect.
That's why I asked Bruce if he can just take care of it.
Yeah, I would be more comfortable if when Bruce, if we could just say within established limits or something to that effect. And then when Bruce comes up with a reasonable number, and I trust that this doesn't sound like it's going to be crazy, but if we can establish that it's, I'm just going to say less than 50 gallons or, some amount of that is established.
Well, you want to make an amendment to the motion to say kept to.
Well, I don't know what that number is or how many gallons are going to be.
If you wanted to make it 50 gallons right now, that'd be fine with me.
No,
Is that
I
reasonable?
we could just say.
That's,
kept to-
yeah, that's more than reasonable to me.
Well, we could just say kept to a limit approved by the Office of Planning and Development.
Why don't we do it that way? Yeah.
So that way they can approve whatever, however they want to control it or anything.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable. I mean, you've heard us speak, so
So I'll make that as you want to make that as an amendment? No?
please, yes.
Okay. And I'll second that amendment. All right, so if there are no other comments, then we'll vote on the motion to amend the amount of hazardous materials. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Amendment is passed unanimously. And then then we'll vote, if there's no other discussion, we'll vote on the motion to approve site plan SIT 2004 as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion is carried unanimously. All right, moving on then, we have old business zoning regulation amendments, pre-application discussion. Is
Yes,
that yours,
Mr. Chairman,
Diane?
we don't have anything to discuss tonight on this on the pre-application for the zoning amendments. We are still working on some revisions that you had discussed in previous workshops. And what I think we're going to do is poll you in the next week or two to do a separate meeting, because I'll provide you with the packet of all the items that we talked about and any changes associated with that. And then we can discuss it at a workshop meeting.
You
And
wanna do a
then
workshop.
if you're okay with that, then you would make an application, formal application. So we'll get in touch with you in the next week or two to come up with some ideas for a workshop on
All right.
that item. And this
Cool.
isn't, for the people that are still there in the public, this is not regarding the Mystic Ed Center. This is zoning regulations amendments to general sections of the regs that do not have anything to do with the Mystic Ed Center.
They're just editorial
Right.
in nature. So we'll have you're recommending a special workshop, and then we would vote on
Well, you would agree to
outside of the
put it
workshop.
forward as an application.
And then we vote on it at
Mm.
the application at the meeting, at a regular meeting.
What, right, it would have to go through the process and get referred
And it
out
would
to the
be-
different agencies and everything, and a formal application.
Mhm.
And then you would have a public hearing on that.
Right. But the workshops are probably easier to handle.
Right, then after a
Discussion-
meeting.
Basically discussions rather than. All right, makes sense. Does that mean we get increase in pay for more special meetings?
Yes.
Huh?
Time and a half.
Huh?
50%.
How about
Double
virtual-
your pay, Jeff.
We'll have virtual pizzas. All right, new business, new applications. Are there?
We don't have any new applications at this point.
Referrals, we have Stonington referral, PZ 210, 10, I guess 2101. SPA and CAM Whalers Inn. Didn't we look at this before?
I think you looked at it either as a special permit or a zone,
I thought it might
something
have been a CAM
changed
issue or something.
recently. So this is basically just the site plan and the coastal site plan application. It's basically taking property on Haley Street and changing it to parking. A parking lot associated with the Whalers Inn.
Does anyone have any concerns with this issue?
Now, mixed feelings. Yes for parking and bad for the character of that street.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with
It's
Groton.
Oh, it doesn't.
So it's in terms of being an odd parking lot and why it empties on the back street is bizarre. It's actually separated from the front property. So I think that's strange, but then it's just blocks and a little bit of landscaping in the way so they can fix it afterwards if they want to. But what doesn't affect us?
Well, if no one has any comments, then we'll have no comment on this issue. Commission reports, reported chair. We've had some discussion over the Mystic Bluffs and how that proceeds. I was trying to do a flow chart, maybe to get that out within a week or so. I fought with it last week, fighting with Microsoft Word, which used to be easy to use to do flow charts, but it makes everything improved, which makes it impossible to figure out how to do some of this stuff. So I probably try to get that out within a couple of weeks for people.
Might have better luck with PowerPoint.
Huh?
You might have better luck with PowerPoint.
Yeah, it can be hard to use sometimes too.
Yeah, it's got a lot of templates. So, yeah.
I'm certified.
Oh,
if
I
you need
wasn't
any
thinking
help.
of that. I was thinking of trying to squeeze a lot of steps into a
No.
8.5 by 11 page. Small print. Okay. Report of commission. Does anyone in the commission have anything to?
I've been in some communication with the zoning enforcement officer, and he is looking into some of the concerns that I had on some blight properties. I haven't brought up any sign issues lately. That art sign, art show, art gallery, art studio has a sign on Route 1 again. We had noticed that a couple of years ago, I think, and they had removed the sign, but it's now back up. It's a nicer sign, more professional, but it shouldn't be there.
Doesn't he have one on New London Road to also? On
Yeah.
that side of the
Yeah.
property? There's two signs. Right? And there's no parking, his fake no parking sign too. You didn't talk to him about that?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if this question is for staff or for us, but when people, when the public calls in and they ask specific questions, do we answer them? Or does someone answer them? Do they get answers, I guess is what my question is.
There were questions to staff or?
Well, I mean, tonight, Mr. Westervelt and Mr. Wall are both, I wrote in my notes here that I keep, where are we? So it sounds to me like what you're working on, the flow chart would be helpful.
Well,
But
that's
when
what I
people
want.
from the public ask questions, do we answer them? Or does someone ever answer them? Or are they just, I mean, I would just like to think that we did, but what's our
We're not-
responsibility?
That's a good point.
I think you answered one, Jeff. You did answer one right out.
Yes.
And the other one was like the exceeding, I think I was writing that down too. Do you get to exceed the zoning if you do some energy plus up? And the other one was what exactly
Becca
are we
Welt.
looking for in these hearings?
Yeah.
So
I think historically it's been done a number of different ways. One of the things probably you don't want to do is engage with the public during the public communication portion of it.
Yeah, we can't debate with the public.
Right. So a number of times you listen to them. Staff has sometimes called people back to answer their questions and clarify things for them. Other times you've actually clarified things during the next meeting in an agenda item or something like that. So there's a number of different ways to do it. I understand your concerns that if this public keeps asking those questions and they're not getting answers, then they're going to keep asking the questions. So
well, I don't mean to, but Diane, I think you're absolutely right. And I had suggested this to Mr. Reiner, and I noticed that there's like a frequently asked question page on Respler's website. It would seem as if we could put together something like that, and it might eliminate 90% of the questions that people ask, and I might answer some of the questions that I have.
Right.
Very often they're the same ones that the public asks. So that might, I don't know how if we could do, given the public interest in this project in particular.
Yes.
I think it would probably go a long way to, giving a sense of that we're listening.
Yeah,
That's
why
correct.
I came up with that matrix of.
Yeah, no, it was helpful. But the
issues.
thing is that I think we keep getting, there's more questions. And I think that these people, it's not one person may ask it, but I think that it's a question that I would think, oh yeah, I would like to know that also. So just answering that person specifically might help them, but I think that the broader public would also like to know the answers to a lot of these questions as well. I don't know, maybe that's a lot of work.
No, I mean, it's important work, obviously. I'll mention it to Deb and John, and we'll see what they want to do, how they want to approach it. Whether it's in your next workshop for the Mystic Ed Center, here's the questions that have been asked over the past few months, and here's some responses to that. It's sort of like when we've done, zoning, the big comprehensive zoning text amendment. We had a lot of questions and a lot of public comments, and we went through each of those and showed how we were addressing them. So
I just feel like I would be much more comfortable than just not. I don't want to be, I want to answer the questions. So
right. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting the questions.
Well, yeah, and then people are going to start getting angry, and it's going to be at this commission. And I would like to, nip that one in the bud if I could help it.
Okay.
It seems like some of them, I agree, we should just short stop as they happen. Like some of them would be, if there's a simple thing that I mentioned about they get to ignore zoning if in fact they do an energy efficiency plus up or something like that. In fact, we can nip that in the bud, and it can be added to the list of commonly answered questions. That should be true. But at least at the time, some of these are simpler to do, and some get postponed for the big list. Ones that we really know the answer to, or staff knows the answer to.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
I've got a small one just for
Oh, yes, Hal.
mine and Diane's favorite little project. So it's just let you know, we kind of drove by the Pleasant Valley apartment and actually went to the website, and there was a place to ask questions. So I did. I asked about what's the connection to subbase? How do I get there? And initially, Mr. Mrs. I have no idea. Kelly Hornoff is the property manager and let me know that it's less than a mile to subbase. I said that, well, I think it's only about 1,000 feet to subbase. What am I missing? Isn't there a way to walk there? And the response was that, yes, they have some military and they usually just walk around on the north side or ride their bikes. So they're not even marketing that there's a pedestrian connection right now. So I'm a little concerned that I know the contractor might know, but right now the property manager doesn't even know that there's going to be a walkway.
Okay.
Al, I did notice when the snow was on the ground that there was a pretty well beaten trail going right across actually diagonally across the hill, just as you would imagine. So maybe it's a good place to put it.
Well, I actually submitted a little diagram because it's a nasty grade, actually. It's all on a bad slope and you can find yourself careening off of the retaining wall if you don't go in the right place. So it'll take a little bit of grading to flatten out a place to go. In the snow, you might not notice it. If it's a foot of snow, then you're anchoring in the snow. I wouldn't want to be walking on that if it was wet grass. Okay. So they need to level out an actual walkway.
They actually have a proposal that they're actually starting on, which is more of a stair situation.
Oh, even
so
better.
They'll be doing stairs. They had a couple proposals. One was one that went all the way around so that it wasn't going to be steep. And I said, no, just make it pretty straight. So they're putting in some stair situation there.
That'd be great. I should tell the property manager.
I'll tell them.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Report of staff.
The one thing we have is the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies. Their annual conference was canceled this year. But we do have a nomination we submitted for Hal Zod for his 12 years of service. So he will not be getting the dinner, but he probably will be invited. And I think you all will be invited to a webinar that will be scheduled in April.
You send me some
to
takeout
honor
or
the
something?
commission members. So congratulations, Hal. 12 years of continuous service. And there'll be award certificates. Yay.
Congratulations, Hal.
Congratulations. So
Anything
maybe
else?
they'll invite you next year.
Well, I was hoping, hey, I had both my shots. I should be able to go someplace.
13 is never lucky, Hal.
Yeah, you're right. We'll skip that one.
Anything else, Diane?
No, that's it at this point.
When will we start seeing something out of Jeff Davis, his proposed rewrite of the section for the oral school development?
I don't have the information on that, but we can get I can get some information for you. I don't have the update on that.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Could we have
It
that
has
on the
been.
next meeting on when we might expect to see something back?
I don't know the information on that. I'm sorry. I've been out of that loop, so I haven't been participating in that in that.
No, but if we
Process.
could, maybe we should have a report at the next meeting.
Okay.
Hmm?
Report on the status?
Yeah, when we'll
Okay.
have that. Because I don't want to get in a big problem like we did with a POCD where we got told at the last minute that we had to approve it because of time limits.
Right.
Hmm? We should understand where we are, have some sort of a schedule for acting on this thing. If no one has any other issues, I'll make a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Is it seconded? Excellent. All right.
Hey, time to watch the game.
Wow.
Yes, plenty of time.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be done so early.
Now what will we do?
Huh?
We're all going to remind you if you got closer, Jeff.
Yeah, that's good.
Good night now.
We had a lot on the agenda.
Good night.
Good work.
All right.
Night.
Night.